are the basics of the electronics. First, I'll tell you about the transistor. This is a kind of a switch which is used for amplification, also used as switch. Now let's see how it acts like a switch. And I'll show you how it works. These are the 3 pins of this transistor. This middle one is collector. And this left side one is called as emitter. This right side pin is called as base. If you give power to this collector, then the transistor goes to the on stage. That way, you will take current from emitter and drain it in the base. Like that, it can act like a switch. And I will tell you how it amplifies signals. We introduce dopings such as boron and phosphorus. If you inject phosphorus with 5 valence electrons in a shell, then 1 electron is free to move. Means this is doped with silicon. This transistor is made of semiconductors such as silicon. Silicon has no free electrons in its shell. That's why we dope something like phosphorus and borons. If you inject phosphorus with 5 valence electrons, then 1 electron will be free to move because it has 5 electrons. That is called as N-type doping. If you inject boron, then it's called as P-type doping. Boron has only 4 hands with 3 electrons. A neighboring electron can fill this hole. This is the basics of the amplification in the transistor. That way it amplifies signals. Thank you. Now let's learn about relays. Relays are the slowest switches, but they can turn 2 things. They can turn on 2 things. I'll tell you how. You can see this relay. This is the example. This is the coil. This is the electromagnet, also called as coil. This is the armature. This is the spring. And these all are the wires. I'll tell you how they work. First, you can see these 2 green wires, right? If you give power to these 2 pins like plus and minus, then this coil will power up. This will induce an electromagnetic force. That way, this armature has iron. That way, it attracts to the electromagnet. Like that, you can see that it attracts to this pin. I'll tell you how. If electromagnetic force is created, then this armature will move back. Like that, it will contact to this pin. Like that, if you give power to this pin, then you can see this wire here. This wire will transport power to this armature. That way, I can give power to this pin when it is contact with here. If you take power from here, then electromagnet is de-energized. Then this armature should go to this original place. That's why we will put a spring. Like that, it will change contact. Like that, it will change. Like that, the electricity comes from here. Like the relay works. This is the small example. These are the relays, actual relays, which are used for projects and that all. Now I will show you about LDRs. These LDRs are light dependent resistance. This LDR resistance depends on the light, its resistance. Means
put it down once, put it down.
You can see like this. These are the LDR. If you give light to this, then it can amplify signals also. When the light is more, then it can amplify. When light is short, then it cannot amplify. Like that, this acts like a light depending resistance. And I will show you about capacitors. Capacitors are nothing but they are storage. This capacitor,
put it down.
This capacitor, if you charge it, it works for 10 seconds. Like that, you can make a timer also. This capacitor is nothing. These are the resistance. I add 2 resistance. One is 2.2K, one is 1K.
Okay, which is 2.2K and which is?
This is the 2.2K, this blue one, and this one is 1K. I'll tell you what this resistance do. If suppose, if you add a LED, means any light bulb, small light bulb, if you give it is 3 volts. But if you give 9 volts means it will burn. That's why we will use resistance. Resistance is nothing but it will flow the electricity speed. I'll tell you how. The battery speed the battery's electron speed is very fast. If you put the resistors in this electron flow, then the electrons will slow down. Like that, the bulb will get low electricity. That way, it can lit up without any burn. And this resistor is used for transistor, and this resistor is used for LEDs. Now I will show you one more thing. How to use a meter. With this, you can check anything. I'll show you how. First, if you want to know the voltage, then this is the voltage line. If you want to know that if any battery is 200 volts, then put in 200. If it's 9 volts, then put in 20. If it's more, then put in 1000. I'll show you with the example with my battery. This is the battery. Now let's test it. First, you can see this meter, right? This is the voltage level. If you want to see up to 20 volts, then put this in 20 and take the battery and see the screen. Oh. You can see it is 11 volts, means it's not 9 volts. Like that, if you want to measure up to 200 volts, then put in 200. If you want 1000, put in 1000. Like that. Now I'll show you how to measure resistance. This is the 1K resistor. Let's see, it will tell 1K resistor or not. This is the breadboard. I'll tell you how to use it. You can see one line, right? This one, if you give power from this first line, then from this other 4 pins, it will get power. Like that, we can use breadboard. Now let's see how to measure resistance. I'm putting 1K resistance. Now let's see. Now let's put this C. Now let's put this in 20K. Now see that. See, you can see there is 1K. A 0 has no value. Let's put this in 200K and let's see. You can see there is the same result again. Like that, you can see resistance. I will tell you how to measure diodes. This diode is nothing but it is a one-way valve. You can see this white mark and black mark, right? If you give power from this black mark, and it will come from white mark. If you give power to this white mark, then it will not come from black mark. Like that, it acts like one-way valve. Now let's see how to test it. You know, this meter can act like a battery with low voltage. If you put this in resistance 2000 C, in 2000, then it can act like a battery. Like that, we can test. Now see, there is no current flow in the meter screen. There is no current flow. I reverse this current flow. Like that, it acts like a battery and it will tell there is electron flow or not.